The top stories tonight in Y News. The camp of Bongbong Marcos welcomed the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo's acknowledgement of the 2022 elections outcome when it no longer raised objection to all certificates of canvass in the Congress, which convened to start the official counting of votes.
The Commission on Elections is eyeing to proclaim all the winning party lists in the May 9 polls this week following the successful conduct of the special elections in Lanao del Sur.
COMELEC will begin preparing next month for the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan despite talks of the postponement of the polls.
President Rodrigo Duterte hopes that the next administration would explore the use of nuclear energy in the Philippines as presumptive President Bongbong Marcos Jr. reviews the offer of South Korea to revive the Bataan nuclear power plant.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, May 24, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am Herlene Delgado.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts. I am William Theo.
First in the news. The camp of Bongbong Marcos welcomed Vice President Leni Robredo's camp acknowledgement of the 2022 elections outcome when it no longer raised objection to all certificates of canvass in the Congress, which convened to start the official counting of votes. With this, a senator expects no delays in the tallying of votes to proclaim the next top leaders in the country. Nel Maribohok has the story.
Representing Vice President Leni Robredo in today's Joint Canvassing Committee meeting in the House of Representatives, Attorney Romy Macalintal said that they are waiving their appearance to expedite the tallying of votes for President in the last elections. Macalintal said they have no objections to the canvassing.
And so as not to delay the proceedings of this board, we would like to make of record our continuing manifestation that we interpose no objection to the inclusion in the canvass of all the certificates of canvass for President from the various provincial and city boards of canvassers found by this honorable board to be authentic and duly executed in accordance with Section 20 of Republic Act 7166.
Attorney Victor Rodriguez, representing presumptive President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr., expressed gratitude to the statement of the Robredo camp.
We would like to recognize and thank the patriotism exhibited by Vice President Leni Robredo for expressly recognizing the integrity and the result of the recently concluded general elections.
Legal counsels of other presidential candidates also manifested that they have no objections to the canvassing and that all COCs are authentic and duly executed in accordance with Section 20 of RA 7166. Around 2 p.m., the National Board of Canvassers resumed its committee meeting to canvass the votes cast for President and Vice President in the May 2022 elections. The committee is composed of the Senate and House contingents. Senate President Vicente Sotto III is optimistic that the end of canvassing or proclamation of the winning presidential and vice presidential candidates can be done by tomorrow. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, let's get an update from Aiko Miguel in the ongoing canvassing of votes in the Congress. She is now in the House of Representatives live. Yes, Aiko, good evening. Will the Congress proceed to this non-stop canvassing votes tonight?
Yes, William, good evening. Contrary to what they are saying, the canvassing here at the House of Representatives complex might be put into stop. This was after the Senate President Vicente Sotto III that the canvassing process may just resume tomorrow, depending on how many certificates of canvass or COC will be completed tonight.
Hindi naman siguro, baka naman Baka naman nasabi lang ng isa sa mga members. If by tonight, let's say 9 or 10 p.m. tonight, they have opened and canvassed at least 100 COCs. Ay, kayang-kaya na bukas yun. Pwede na sila magpahinga tonight and resume tomorrow morning.
William, so far, there are no discrepancies seen in the COCs being canvassed. At past 6 and 7 tonight, COCs from Davao del Sur, Albay, Camarines Norte, and Surigao del Norte have been canvassed. 173 COCs need to be canvassed before the proclamation of the winning president and vice president of the Philippines. Senate President Vicente Sotto III also joked about using authority if the canvassing will slow down tonight.
173 lang yun. Ngayon, kung bumagal, siguro baka maisipan nila, teka, tuloy-tuloy na to. Total, may mga alternate naman. Pagka bumagal-bagal, I will crack the whip.
William, as of 8 p.m., Senator Mig Zubiri and Representative Martin Romualdez still spearhead the joint public session convened as the National Board of Canvassers, approving the procedures for the canvassing of votes. William, both houses of Congress hope that the canvassing will be done tomorrow and the proclamation will come next. And as of 8 p.m., over 80 certificates of canvass have been completed, and we are still waiting if it will just resume tomorrow. Meanwhile, the COC or Certificate of Canvass of Surigao del Sur was not inside the opened ballot boxes. This is why the National Board of Canvassers contacted the Provincial Board of Canvasser of Surigao del Sur to join in a Zoom meeting here and in the canvassing and explain why the COC of Surigao del Sur is not inside the open ballot boxes here at the House of Representatives. And that is the latest live. Back to you, William.
Yes, thank you, Aiko Miguel, reporting live from the House of Representatives.
Presumptive President Bongbong Marcos will attend his proclamation as president-elect at the Batasang Pambansa in Quezon City. This was announced by his spokesperson, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, in a press conference at the House of Representatives. Rodriguez says Marcos's time of arrival will depend on what time the canvassing of votes will end. The camp of Marcos also thanked some of the presidential contenders. Earlier, the representatives of presidential bets, Vice President Leni Robredo and Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Domagoso, imposed no objections in the canvassing of votes and the results of the elections.
We were all surprised, and but it was a good surprise. And again, it was a show of deep patriotism, and I think ito na yung mensahe na dala-dala namin nung kampanya, at tumutugon naman ang lahat ng may pagmamahal sa bansa doon sa mensahe ng pagkakaisa.
Meanwhile, for his running mate, presumptive Vice President Sara Duterte, her camp says she will endeavor to attend the proclamation. This as she cited earlier engagements, including a visit to a wake and meetings in Antique and Iloilo. Her camp says she will exert her efforts to make it on time to Manila for the proclamation. In 2016, his father, President Rodrigo Duterte, skipped his proclamation as president-elect, while Vice President Leni Robredo attended together with her daughters. The canvassing, headed by the Joint Canvassing Committee of Congress, sitting as the National Board of Canvassers, is ongoing and is expected to be finished by Wednesday afternoon or evening.
The special elections in Tubaran, Lanao del Sur opened today, weeks after the COMELEC declared a failure of elections in the area. The Philippine National Police says the voting went smoothly throughout the day. Leia Ilagan reports why.
The strict implementation of security, cooperation of candidates and residents are a big help in the peaceful and orderly conduct of the special elections in Tubaran, Lanao del Sur. PNP Directorate for Operations Director, Police Major General Val de Leon said the PNP declared full alert status in the area a day before the elections.
Sa buong Pilipinas, ito lang ang na-declare ng failure of election. Kaya minabuti natin at hindi na natin pwedeng ma-report pa na another failure of election. Kaya pinabuti natin ang security cluster, ganon din ang ating COMELEC. Pati mga kandidato ay nag-commit naman na hindi sila gagawa ng karahasan. At ang ating mga kababayan, naramdaman nila ang feeling of security.
PNP personnel as well as Army soldiers were tapped to serve as Special Board of Election Inspectors. Major General De Leon said no untoward incidents were reported during the conduct of the elections in 12 barangays.
Nakita nyo naman na napaka-organized at ang ating mga kababayan dito sa Tubaran ay nagko-cooperate at yun naman ang ating mission dito na galing sa ating COMELEC, may relay yung kanilang mga procedures at lahat nakakaalam para sa ganon ay maging patas ang resulta.
After the special elections in Tubaran, the COMELEC sitting as the National Board of Canvassers may proclaim the winning party list on Thursday.
Hindi na pwede magkaroon ng failure sapagkat naghihintay po ang buong sambayanan. Tatandaan po nila, maliit na bayan na Tubaran, tama, pero ito po may implikasyon sa national na eleksyon, hindi lamang po sa pampanguluhan, sa pangalawang pangulo, pati po sa party list system natin.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections will begin preparing next month for the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan, which is poised in December. This despite talks of the postponement or resetting of the said polls. Dante Amento tells us why.
COMELEC Commissioner George Erwin Garcia explains the manual Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan or SK elections would not be postponed unless there is a law stating it. This year's Barangay and SK polls will be on December 5, 2022. Therefore, they have to begin their preparations next month, such as the voter registration and procurement of some election paraphernalia materials, among others.
Although sinasabi nilang maaaring ma-postpone o ma-reset na naman ang barangay, hindi po namin yun kinukonsider sapagkat hanggang sa kasalukuyan, dapat may barangay election ngayong Disyembre.
If, however, the Congress will act on the proposal to postpone the elections, the COMELEC will abide accordingly. Garcia added the government can even save over 8 billion pesos.
At kung sakaling sasabihin po nila na hindi matutuloy, no, wala po kaming problema doon. At in fact po, napakalaki rin katipiran sa ating bansa na kung sakaling hindi matuloy ang halalan, 8.6 billion po ang nakalaan na budget para dyan sa barangay and SK election.
Meanwhile, Garcia denied the information that they have already used the budget allocated for the barangay and SK elections.
Wala pa po kaming kinukuha kahit 5 duling dyan po sa ating pong DBM patungkol sa paghahanda sa barangay election.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Philippine Coast Guard officially commences its investigation on the maritime incident which transpired in Quezon Province yesterday. But the PCG says it may take days to conclude the cause of fire in the fast craft. Asher Kadapan Jr. explains why.
The Marine Casualty Investigation Team needs to gather the official statements of witnesses, especially crews and victims of the fire incident in MV Mercraft 2 off the coast of the province of Quezon on Monday morning. But aside from this, the Philippine Coast Guard finds it challenging to collect possible physical evidences from the vessel itself as it was already burned down. With this, PCG spokesperson Commodore Armand Balila says it may take some time for them to get to the bottom of the incident.
Hindi tayo pwedeng magbigay ng conclusive statement pa sapagkat nasa stage pa lang ng investigation. Siguro sa mga susunod na araw baka meron na tayong panghawakan.
The PCG, however, has already taken custody of the captain of the fast craft. The agency hopes to get more information from the captain to help give light to the unfortunate event.
Kagabi nakausap na natin yung kapitan at ngayon ay formal siyang tatanungin. Magbibigay siya ng salaysay kung anong version niya dun sa incident. Ngayong araw na to, nagsimula na po yung investigation ng Philippine Coast Guard para po ma-establish natin yung punot dulo ng pangyayari.
The Coast Guard assures thorough investigation of the incident to help them learn from the mishap and prevent its recurrence. But the PCG says they will identify the cause of negligence and who should be accountable for it.
Sapagkat ito ay isang aksidente sa karagatan na may nasawing mga tao na kung merong negligence po at maaari po silang mawalan ng prangkisa at maaari din pong mapanagot criminally. Pero ito ay nakabase pa sa mga evidence na makakala po.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Bataan residents welcome the possible revival of the Bataan nuclear power plant. This as presumptive President Bongbong Marcos Jr. reviews the offer of South Korea to revive the power plant. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte hopes that the next administration would explore the use of nuclear energy in the Philippines. Rosalie Cons explains why.
Arnel Ramos, a resident from Bataan, is looking forward to the plans to revive the Bataan nuclear power plant. Working as a tricycle driver, he expects that the 60-20 megawatt power plant could generate jobs in the province.
Marami pa magkakaroon ng trabaho, kaya siguro yan po ang paraan para makaluwag ang mga tao dito sa bayan ng Bagak. Hindi lang po sa bayan ng Bagak, sa buong Pilipinas po. Dahil po dyan, marami pong magkakaroon ng hanap buhay.
While some citizens fear for their safety, other residents base their expectations to the experience of other countries using nuclear energy.
Natatakot kami kaya ayaw namin pabulbok sa baka sumingaw. Kasi sabi na iba, pag sumingaw yan, lason yan.
Marami namang nuclear sa ibang bansa. Hindi naman sumasabog. Bakit nila pinapagdudahan?
Earlier, presumptive President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. revealed that he held talks with South Korean envoy Kim In-chul to revive the Bataan nuclear power plant.
Yung offer nila at yung nakapunta na rito ng mga expert na nuclear power para tignan ang Bataan nuclear power plant para makita kung ano ba ang maaring gawin. Pwede pa bang ituloy o kailangan na magtayo ng bago? What are the things that we will have to do?
Marcos added that the plan needs further studies. Meanwhile, outgoing President Rodrigo Duterte wants the next administration to explore the use of nuclear energy as an alternative energy source, especially with the global oil crisis affecting the Philippines.
We are not yet dito sa nuclear level, but I hope that the next administration would at least explore now the possibility of nuclear. Total, ang nag-umpisa naman nito kasi Marcos noon. Oil is not infinite. May katapusan yan. Someday it will dry up. It would be good for any government to prepare the possibility of making the transition earlier from oil, yung fossil fuel, to nuclear. Kasi nuclear is forever. Kaya lang, medyo delikado to.
In response to the 1973 oil crisis, the Philippine government under former President Ferdinand Marcos decided to construct a nuclear power plant in Napot Point, Morong, Bataan. The construction of the 621 MWE Westinghouse unit was started in July 1976 and finished in 1984 at a cost of $1.9 billion. However, this was not commissioned due to financial issues, corruption allegations, and safety concerns. Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi mentioned before that based on a Korean proposal, the revival of the plant may take 4 years and will cost $1 billion or 52.3 billion pesos. Rosalie Coz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For the news abroad, military enlistment officers in Russia have been stationed across several cities to increase their manpower against Ukraine. Iya De Vera will give us the details live. Good evening, Iya.
Good evening, LC. Russia attempts to ramp up its enlistment of more soldiers after one-third of their 150,000 military force has been severely wiped out in the battle against Ukraine. Military analyst Michael Kaufman, in his War on the Rocks podcast, stated that the fragmented Russian units are left with no room to rotate and replace their losses anymore. More and more mobile enlistment offices are being sited across several cities, including the sidelines of the annual half marathon race in Novosibirsk, Siberia. Soldiers who have been completed their enlistment are being offered a large price for short-term military contracts, such as 170,000 rubles or $2,900 a month for a 3-month contract. Age limits for enlistment are also in the talks of being expanded, allowing authorities to enlist a wider range of people, of Russian men up to 40 and foreigners up to 30 years of age. At the moment, Russia is reportedly redeploying its soldiers from foreign countries and into the battlefields, including those from Syria and Africa. Lastly, conscription or compulsory enlistment is the final and more radical step in filling the hole of the shortages if insufficient numbers are still identified. Elsie?
Thank you, Ia De Vera, for that live report. Leaders of Japan, the US, Australia, and India, or what's called the Quad Nations, are meeting in Tokyo in what experts described as one of the most important meetings in recent years. Ryuji Sasaki reports why, live. Yes, Ryuji?
Elsie, the Quad meeting in Tokyo is very important as it will affect the geopolitics and security of Indo-Pacific region. Leaders of the Quad will focus on China, their mutual point of convergence, since China has become increasingly assertive in the region over the years. Leaders of the 4 nations have their share of either maritime dispute or land boundary conflict with China. Beijing's recent security pact with the Solomon Islands has stoked fears in Australia. Japan has become increasingly wary of China's routine incursions from the Chinese Navy, while the US has been vocal that it wants to protect its interest in the region. China, on the other hand, called the group Asian NATO and said the Quad was formed to contain their country. Michael Kugelman, deputy director at the Wilson Center think tank, says the latest meeting is likely to sharply focus on ensuring an open and free Indo-Pacific, despite India's position over the war in the Ukraine. Elsie?
Thank you, Ryuji Sasaki, reporting live from Chiba, Japan. Pfizer-BioNTech announced their trial of the 3-dose COVID-19 vaccine for kids showed a strong immune response. Cherise Longbowen will tell us why live. Yes, Cherise.
Good evening, Elsie. The Phase 2/3 trial of Pfizer-BioNTech's 3 doses of COVID-19 vaccine for children from 6 months to 5 years old revealed a vaccine efficacy of 80.3%, which was announced on Monday. In the said trial, 1,678 children under this age group were given 3 microgram third dose of the vaccine at least 2 months after receiving their second dose. According to BioNTech's co-founder and CEO, Professor Ugur Sahin, the 3 microgram dose of the vaccine for kids was carefully selected based on tolerability data and gives high-level protection against the recent COVID-19 strains. The third dose was given to the kids during the time Omicron was the predominant variant. As per the company's report, the vaccine was well tolerated by this age group with no new safety signals identified. Pfizer's chairman and CEO Albert Bourla stated that they are expecting to soon complete their submissions to regulators and make it available to younger men. Back to you, Elsie.
Thank you, Cherise Longbowen, for that report. A plane manufacturer Bombardier revealed high-speed achievements while confirming the launch of its new jet on Monday. The Canadian company said the in-development Global 8000 will be the world's fastest and longest-range purpose-built business jet. According to a statement from Bombardier, it has a capacity for up to 19 passengers, a range of 8,000 nautical miles, and a top speed of Mach 0.94, and is expected to enter service in 2025. Global 8000 is just one of the many developments in the numerous efforts to raise the speed of passenger aircraft more than 2 decades after Concorde retired. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Elsie Marcos, reporting live from Auckland, New Zealand. Good evening.
The transition of the COVID-19 response policies to the next administration is underway. Presidential Advisor for COVID-19 Response Secretary Vince Dizon said the booster and the pediatric vaccination would be a challenge for the next administration. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
There is still a low vaccination rate for booster doses and pediatric vaccination, which needed to be ramped up, according to Presidential Advisor for COVID-19 Response Secretary Vince Dizon. These are parts of the country's COVID-19 response that the incoming administration should look into once the new leaders assume office. Secretary Dizon also pointed out the importance of protecting children, since majority in the said age group are not yet vaccinated. The official reiterates the call for parents to vaccinate their children.
Hinahanda na po natin ang transition para po maayos po ang maipapasa natin sa susunod na administrasyon at para po maitutuloy po nila ang ating mga gains nitong mga nakaraang buwan.
The BBM administration will take over the COVID-19 vaccination program once President Duterte officially steps down from office. Secretary Dizon said the BBM administration should continue the government's vaccination drive against COVID-19. 77% of the target's population of Filipinos already received 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccines. Meanwhile, Secretary Dizon stressed that there are still areas with low vaccination rate that should be prioritized, including Soc-Sargent and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao, or BARM.
Important lang po to note, the priorities that we have now are, number 1, to really increase the vaccination levels of some of our provinces, as I will show later, especially in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, kung saan lampas lang po ng 50% ang ating vaccination rate. It is the lowest in the country.
Before the term of the Duterte administration ends, the government plans to conduct special vaccination days for areas with low vaccination rate. Booster doses for 18 years old and above will be intensified, as well as second booster dose for health workers, senior citizens, and immunocompromised. Meanwhile, the Department of the Interior and local government reported that 1.9 million were vaccinated through house-to-house vaccination. With the presence of the Omicron subvariant, DILG Secretary Eduardo Año said the local government will intensify their house-to-house vaccination efforts.
At ngayong napapalapit na ang banta ng Omicron BA.4 variant sa bansa, muli tayo nagpalabas ng direktiba upang suyurin ang bawat komunidad, sityo at kanayunan para mabakunahan ang ating mga kababayang hindi pa rin nakakatanggap o nakakakumpleto ng kanilang COVID-19 vaccines.
Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The government will launch the Chikiting Vaccination Days, a vaccination drive for children aged 2 years below against non-COVID diseases. JP Nunez will tell us why live. Yes, JP.
Arlene, the Department of Health reported that there are more than 1 million infants who missed their routine immunization last year. With this, the DOH will be holding a national vaccination days for children ages 2 years old and below on May 26 and 27, which is dubbed to be the Chikiting Vaccination Days. This is part of the regular immunization program of the government which aims to provide protection to children among various diseases.
Ang Chikiting Vaccination Day ay inilunsad upang mahibagi natin ang mga bakuna para sa mga bata na 2 taon pababa. Ang goal po natin dito ay mapagkunahan ang at least 80% of the remaining approximately 1.1 million infants who missed their routine immunization last 2021.
Among the vaccines to be inoculated includes BCG vaccines, hepatitis B vaccine, pentavalent vaccine, oral polio vaccine, tuberculosis vaccine, measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine. The DOH said the vaccines will be given free and assured that these are safe for the children.
Dapat samantalain po natin ng mga kababayan natin ito dahil ito po ay libre. Kaya naman po para sa mga nanay, tatay, mga guardians gaya ng lolo at lola at iba pa, suportahan po natin yung Chikiting Vaccination Days upang bigyan proteksyon ang ating mga anak laban sa vaccine preventable diseases.
Meanwhile, parents of children believe in the efficacy of vaccines to protect their kids against various diseases.
Siyempre mahalaga po sa amin yun para sa kaligtasan ng bata, hindi siya tinatabla ng mga sakit, gano'n. Sobrang halaga nun kasi siyempre para sa aming nanay, pag nagkakasakit yung bata, siyempre kami yung una natataranta. So, napaka-importante po sa amin yung bakuna na yun.
Para naman sa baby yun eh. Di ba require naman ng DOH kaya pwede naman. Para sa kalusugan naman ng mga bata yun eh.
Harleen, last April, more than 10,000 children were inoculated in the vaccination drive in more than 30 areas considered to be priority provinces. That is our latest live. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, JP Nunez reporting live.
Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Colossians, chapter 4, verse 2, it says, "Continue in prayer and watch in the same with thanksgiving." And those are the reasons behind the news, May 24, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.